Did I do well? Well, I think I think it's no secret offensively. We had an exciting brand of basketball where we were number one scoring team in the Eastern Conference, fifth overall. Shot the ball fifth best in the NBA, sixth best from the three-point line. We took care of it. Top 10 in turnovers, assists, top 10. So I think offensively, we didn't have any issues at all scoring. I thought we could score against the best teams. I think our efficiency from our stats gurus was we were the fourth best efficient team at the offensive end. But obviously, we know and we knew going into the season that defense was going to be a big issue for us and something we wanted to prove on. And to finish 19th in field goal percentage against isn't good enough. I mean, the teams that are still playing in the playoffs are teams that are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in defensive field goal percentage, and that's something that we have to get better at. So I would think that that's the number one goal as we move forward. That's the one thing that we didn't do as well as I wish we would have.
That clip that they were running on Raptors TV, one of your first meetings with the players. And
yes.
You spoke about that exactly as a theme.
Yeah.
And obviously, about being one of those teams that plays that has that defensive
mentality.
Mindset.
Yeah.
Didn't have that.
No.
Is that a coaching issue or personnel issue?
Well, I think that it's probably a little bit of both. I think it's I think personnel, guys. We were not very good at keeping the ball in front of us, and I think to a man. I don't think that we could say that we had one guy that was just super efficient at keeping the basketball in front. And when you have that initial breakdown, that means somebody else has to help, and our whole thing was predicated on help. And as soon as you help, you're leaving your guy, and that either leads to an offensive rebound or another pass and a short closeout and three-pointers being made. So I think that a lot of it is personnel. And the fact that we need to work as coaches to make our guys better on the ball defenders. And I don't think we really struggled with schemes, but your scheme isn't very good when you can't contain the basketball.
Jay, do you start to entertain the thoughts of what this team may be like without Chris Bosh? That may be it.
You know what? I have, because we had to play the last section of the season with him without him. I think that that's something that's going to play out down the road, and I think obviously we want him back and would like to have him come back, but it's something that's going to happen, and if he decides not to, we're going to get something in return. So I think that this team will be different.
After last season, that's kind of what we heard as well. Like that we had to be tougher. You had to be tougher as a coach as well.
Yeah.
Feeling you were as tough as you could have been on the players, holding them accountable?
Well, I think it's tough for media to defend or decide whether I'm tough on players, because I'm not going to do it here, and if I do it, it's going to be to a man on the practice court. I mean, first of all, I don't know if they read the newspapers or watch TV. So if I have a message, it's something I'm going to do personally to them. Was I tough enough? I would think that I probably could have been a little bit tougher, but I also had the task of trying to find ways to get to know 9 different players. And there are players that you can get tough with, and they're going to respond, and there are players that you can't get in their face to. Because you'll get the opposite reaction that you need, and I think that the one thing I found as the season went on was how to get to know each and every one of the players better and have a better relationship with each of the players and know what it was going to take in order to make them respond and be better basketball players and to fit into what we were trying to do as a team.
In hindsight, how tough a challenge was 9 players?
I think. Obviously with the season the way it started and us going 7-13 in our first 20, I thought it was pretty tough. And our first 30 games happened over a real quick period of time. I believe it was 30 games in 53 days. And when you have 9 new players and a couple of them out of training camp, it's pretty tough to have practices in those times and in those days where you can teach and instruct and get people on the same page and get them to know each other. The next 30 games that we played happened over 73 days. That's a huge amount of time. It's 20 more days. And we had more time to practice. They got to know each other better. We got to know the players better. And in those 30 days, or in those 30 games over 73 days with all that time to practice, that's when our record went 19-11. And I think that that shows that we had a better understanding of who we were. The last couple, 22 games, we're not very good. And again, why? Well, we lost some confidence when we lost Chris. We lost the focal point of our offense and what was effective for us when he was in the lineup. And then we lose Antoine, not for a lot of games, but he became our primary defender on perimeter players, and a guy who we thought could keep guys in front of people better than anybody else on our team. And we talk about the defense faltering, and that's when it did falter again in the last 22 games without our anchor in CB being 100%, and without Antoine.
Chris made it pretty clear his decision is going to be based on where he thinks he can win. Can you look at those 30 games in between you and Brian and make Chris aware that we were a pretty good team during those 30 games, and if that's the team that we can be, then there's no reason to believe we can't win?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the 40 games in the middle of the season, we went 25-15, and the focal part of that was Chris Bosch playing the way that he could play, Hito playing his best basketball of the season at that time, and we had good things happening. We were top 5 in win percentage for a major part of that middle section of the season when things were going well. All-Star break comes, and again, I don't like to make excuses, but the fact is Chris got hurt first game back. Hito had to rush back to Istanbul instead of relaxing, spend time with his mom. He didn't come back the same player. Andrea was thrust into a different role and didn't seem to have the ability to lead us at that point when the offense focused around him. And that's when we struggled. And when things went south there, it was mostly because of the defense. Our offense seemed to always find ways to score, but it's tough to play when you're not defending. And that's the biggest downfall of the season and why we're having this press conference today.
Is there